Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sweetcast. We're live. I'm streaming on Monday night. I realize I'm kind of competing with several people who are streaming right now, but I thought I would give you a little update because some stuff's gone down. So I think it's worth giving you an update. Let's see. All right. Man of Sex, welcome. And A New Disguise, welcome. Israel, welcome. Caffeinated Comic Cooks. Bro, I get a new headset. Am I having a problem? Can you guys hear me okay? Who we ragging on? We're talking about modern art. That's what we're going to talk about. And art styles, and I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. I invited a whole bunch of people. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we're gonna look at some art. So I'm gonna let y'all get in here. Hello, everyone. Ken Jack Ben, welcome. Brian the Observer, welcome. Justin Kelly, welcome. Hey, everyone. All right. And do let me know. I'm always paranoid now if something's wrong with the sound. So do let me know. And yeah, there we go. All right, here we go. First I got to give you an update. We're gonna look at some art, modern art, and you're gonna tell me what you think about it. But first, I got to give you a little update. If you looked at the Downcast campaign, you're going to see that there was a massive drop in the number. We were pushing 19,000, 18,000 something. And then early this morning, it dropped down $2,500. The reason that happened, and I've been getting a lot of questions about that, is because we had a backer on day 2 of the campaign early in the morning who basically put in $2,500 into the campaign. I didn't notice this until a few days later, and I did think, wow, that's a massive donation. Then I kind of, things are busy and I didn't think much of it. So the backer that put in $2,500 contacted me and told me that it was an accident and that they intended $25. I do not know the backer personally, so I'm assuming it's somebody in the audience, either now or has ever watched the YouTube channel. So they got it changed by Indiegogo. So it looks terrible to have the campaign drop, and it feels awful. But the truth is, the campaign is still doing really well. We still got funded day 1. It's still been a good thing. Makes sense, but too bad though. Yeah, I hear you. It's one of those things like, it hurts. Another reason that it hurts is because it did take the campaign off of the front page, very top, for trending, which actually does hurt some funding numbers. And so I did a little something that I'm hoping that'll help us just kick it back into gear, which is, by popular demand, I opened up only 2 more slots for the get drawn into the book. I guess I can share it here. I imagine those are going to go pretty quickly because they went quick before, but let me find it here. Campaign, and I opened it up right down here, drawn into the book. It's the exact same thing. So you get the print bundle plus you get drawn into the book. It's $100, and there's 2 more. I just added 2 more, talked to Nacho, and that'll work out. So get them while they're hot. I'm hoping this will help us to pump our numbers a little bit and get us. I'm hoping if we can get back up to 17,000, it'll make me feel a little better. I know it'll make you all feel a little bit better too. But it'll also help us if we get some backers to just get back up to the trending, to that front page, because that really helps us filter in some new backers directly from Indiegogo. It sounds like, do I have someone in the chat with us? No. Okay, I thought I heard something. I am losing my mind. All right, so that's where we're at right now. I'll stop sharing just for a minute and check how you guys are doing. Yeah, so I hope that works out okay for everybody. We're going to add that. And then I do have, let's see, we will be adding a t-shirt. I don't have that yet. Man, that print, wouldn't it be awesome as a variant cover? Yeah, it is really cool. I don't really want to add a 3rd variant cover though. That's, I don't know. there are a lot of people that don't like it feels like you're exploiting them, I guess. So I don't know. It's really tough to figure out how it goes, but I'm all open for suggestions. But we are going to get we're going to get a t-shirt. I've been talking with Crypto Fashion, and we're going to do t-shirts with them. We don't have that settled though yet. So yeah, we'll I don't know. I will let you know as soon as possible. I'm guessing though, just based off of our conversation, it could be tomorrow, as early as tomorrow. And yeah, that would help because a lot of people have been asking for t-shirts. So yeah, got 34 people. It's pretty good. Actually, we're doing pretty good considering that we're competing with a lot of people. So that's great. Let's see. Crystal, what is up? If you ever do a second print of the book, maybe like Nasser to Stardust, yeah, second print, that would be a whole other thing. And we have Douglas Ernst in the chat. How's it going, Doug?
Hey man, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just got home and I saw your text or whatever, and then I was like, okay, I'll pop in, see what Sweetcast is up to. So
cool. Yeah, thanks for coming. I just gave an update on my campaign. We had a little craziness with some of the numbers, so I'm trying to rectify that. We had a backer basically that put in $2,500 by accident, apparently on day 2 of the campaign, and they just got that refunded. So it looks like we lost a whole bunch of money, but it was just a backer changed their thing. So yeah, we'll I don't know, hopefully get some backers tonight. And then I did open, just a reminder for everybody, you can get drawn into the book. I added 2 more slots for that. That was really popular, so that's up right now. So Doug, I'm curious what your general opinion is on modern art. That's the topic for tonight. We're gonna look
at yeah, well, a while ago, I want to say, I don't know if it was a year ago or not, I did a YouTube video that was basically called The Death of Beauty. And so that alone should just tell you where I think of modern art, and then how it works its way into comic books. You could go to America Chavez, that particular book, a lot of the Marvel books, particularly in 2017, 2018, they had this, the Squirrel Girl, all these sort of deformed looking characters, just grotesque sort of characters. They going away from the ideal, both of men and women in terms of body types, and almost embracing sort of just this like slovenly, gluttonous sort of Superman should have a dad bod sort of mentality or something.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. There's so this is a discussion that's been it's been coming up a lot. Just as I talk to artists and things, but there's having the ability to draw from real life, and there is beauty, like even just in a landscape. I would argue that there is objective beauty. It exists in the world, and people recognize it. And at the same time, for sure, especially in comic art, then there's stylized art. So you wouldn't necessarily want to see something that looks exactly like real life. You'd have some kind of stylization to it. And then there's, if you are an artist and you can't actually, you don't have the ability to draw from real life, or draw real life or something that resembles it or stylizes it, then you have some really strange things that you see in some art exhibits that I would argue are not objectively beautiful, or they're objectively ugly.
Yeah, I think there's like a YouTube video somewhere where somebody just put glasses on the floor of an art museum.
Yeah,
and then
I
people
saw
started
that.
taking pictures of the guy's glasses on the floor or something, like it was an art piece, like some sort of piece in the museum. And so, yeah, most contemporary art and that sort of stuff, to me,
Yeah.
In the old days, you had to basically be a master of the craft. And it's like somewhere along the line, the powers that be almost decided, like, how do we figure out a way where we could call anything art, and so we're all geniuses? And you almost see that in the comic books, like these people can't take criticism because it's like, I created this, how dare you
Yeah.
criticize it. It came out of my mind, so therefore it's perfect. This is David. This is Michelangelo type work, and it's like
Yeah.
it's really not.
Yeah, it's almost like a way for, well, everyone wants to participate and be an artist. So you just brought in, well, not that, I mean, if you're learning art, I'm thinking of, okay, hypothetically speaking, my daughter who's 5 years old, she really enjoys coloring and she does a good job for a 5-year-old. Um, but I don't know, the intentional, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm thinking about it. So here's one. Have you heard of Lady K?
Off the top of my head, no.
This is kind of new for me anyway. I don't know. I'm thinking like everybody probably already knows about Lady K. This is a video that for some reason was recommended to me on YouTube, and I was watching it, and it's like the way that they frame it. It's like Lady K is some amazing, fantastic artist, and it looks like she's a graffiti artist. And I kept expecting, because I've seen some. I lived in inner city Detroit for a little while. I've seen some pretty cool graffiti. And then there's this. So I don't know, we'll watch through this without the sound because the sound's not important. And you know, find out if this is art. I'm curious. Lots of shortcuts here. Yes, Snow Tub. Hit that like button. That helps us out a lot. So I watch this and I keep expecting something really cool. I have to admit, those are some nice lines, I guess, if I'm looking at lines, but it just looks like she's signing her name over and over.
Yeah, I'm not really. Okay.
I know, but then it's like there's a camera following her around, and maybe part of it is getting away from the police. Here's a big one. And yeah, really big sprays, and it's just 156. I just don't get it. Again, I've seen some really cool murals and stuff. People have done graffiti on walls. That doesn't make sense to me. Spray can calligraphy. I guess there's definitely a skill to how like controlling the flow of the paint. I don't know, expecting more.
Yeah, and a lot of this goes to people's how do you define art and those sorts of things. And so traditionally, art was supposed to almost like raise people up to like a transcendent sort of lift their gaze to the good and the true and the beautiful. And at
Yeah.
some point in time, it just became almost a narcissistic sort of thing where art was just
Yeah.
in the eye of the beholder or whatever. Anything anybody thought that was art, whatever you do, if you put paint 156 and you say it's art, well, it's art. And so it
Yeah.
really just comes down to your definition of what art is. And
Yeah.
I am definitely not of the 156 camp, the
Yeah.
Lady K camp.
The other thing too is the coat. I'm just like, it's just funny. But there's definitely a culture around, I don't know, like admiring this kind of art, or like it's the cool thing. Again, like she probably can spray paint better than I can, but it's just signing her name over and over. We're putting Anne Graham to sleep. She just says Z Z Z Z Z. Yeah, so this I don't know. This it just surprised me. I expected more. So another thing is art, if you have to be educated to a certain level to think that it's art, to me that's counterintuitive. If I see something that looks, you can obviously tell it's art and it wows you, or I guess, you know, even creeps you out if it's something that's supposed to be scary or something, then it goes without saying. But if there needs to be explanation, and that's, I'm going to go here in a minute, we'll look at some Banksy stuff, but or a Banksy quote. Anyway, to me, that's not exactly the same thing. If you need to have a certain level of education to get what's going on.
I forgot where I was reading it or where I watched it. Maybe it was in a book by Bishop Robert Barron, but I'm not 100% sure on that. It's like one of these things. If there was a fire in a particular museum and and you were there and you had a chance to grab one piece of art and run out with it, and it was like between the Mona Lisa or something and something by Lady K, real art, and I'm going to get myself in trouble by saying that, but typically you would just know this is what I need to save. You would, like you said, if you just saw this like random eyeglasses on a counter or something like that, you would not think like this is what I need to, this is not what needs to survive for future generations to appreciate.
Yeah.
And you would just kind of instinctually just know. And it's, again, real beauty kind of there. If you go into the Sistine Chapel, again, hundreds and hundreds of years can pass, and people today, they could go and they could see this stuff and they're like, that is some serious talent right there.
Right.
And so there is a distinct difference, and people will be like, "Oh, you're just being elitist." And I think there's something to be said for you need to know the rules before you could break the rules. And I think most people nowadays, they don't even know the rules. They don't even know how to draw correct proportions on a human body, and then they're trying to essentially just do their own thing and say like, well, like I said, what I'm saying is art because I say so.
Yep. Slick Rick in the chat says she's tagging. Her kudos would be how brazen she is, I suppose, but dressing like a middle-class woman wouldn't make spraying difficult. That's not a piece of any artist would be proud of. Yeah, when I saw her spray painting toward the end there on like a pristine wall, it just kind of makes me sick because I think, oh, if I owned that business, I'd be so upset because it didn't even look cool. It was just a number. So yeah, great point. Angram says it's not you, and she corrected herself down there. Sweetcast, it's her art that's dull. Oh, good. I'm glad we're not boring you. It's the art. Yeah, to me, it wasn't. I don't know. I want to be like, wow, I wish I could do that. That's my instinct. Like, oh, I wonder how they do that. I wish I could do that. Something that you want to stare at, for more reasons than just that. You know, some lady in a pink fur coat, just ran up and did it and walked away like nothing. Slick Rick says it says nothing, and marking her territory means nothing to her or anyone else when she's representing nothing. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so here's a quote from Banksy, and the question is, in chat, get involved, let me know, is this true or false? Put T for true, F for false. Art should be comfort to the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. I don't know. I had to think about that a little bit. It could, I don't know, I guess it could disturb the comfortable, maybe, if that was the intention, but I don't think it has to. Does it have a responsibility to disturb the comfortable? Getting a couple Fs so far. False.
Well, like you said, if the original aim of art was to obtain the good, the true, and the beautiful, a lot of times the truth bothers people. So if your art embodies something that is inherently true, yeah, you could offend people that are in power that don't want the truth out, or any group that doesn't want a particular truth out in the open. So in that sense, yeah, but to say that it always should disturb people or make them uncomfortable, to me, that's kind of bizarre.
Yeah, I do find it strange because I saw another quote on Twitter earlier today, and it's that art should offend you or something. I don't like the what art should do. You know what I mean? Art can do a lot of things. I'm trying to think of disturbing art that I think of. What's his Geiger, the guy that did the aliens. Is it H.R. Geiger? Some of his art, like for the aliens, they're disturbing, but it's also artistic, I guess. But I don't think it has to. It's not like it should disturb you. It's that it can, I guess. I think there's a big difference.
For me, that would go to if you're trying to convey a truth about, say, man's propensity for evil, or that the potential for evil exists within man, or the grotesque, or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be a truth that exists. And if that was your original intent, is to show, yes, this exists within man, then that would work for me. But in general, I would much more prefer art that sort of lifts the human spirit as opposed to art that just brings people down into almost a depressive state. But again, that would be my personal preference.
Yeah.
To me, it always seems a lot harder to elevate your spirit and go to a higher place than it's easy to sort of sink into a depressive sort of mood
Yeah.
or a negative state for and again, maybe I'm wrong on that, but
Yeah.
that's just my personal.
Yeah. I do appreciate art that like I don't know, like when you first see it and you're like, wow. I love that feeling. And there's not, I don't know. It's like you want to say you know it when you see it, I guess. Um so I don't know. Yeah, this is just interesting topic that's been on my mind. Let's look at another one. This might be cringy. So let's get the chat involved here too. So here are the absolute worst artworks we saw around the world in 2017. I only looked through a few of these, but brace yourself. Some of these are funny. And remember, chat, I don't have super chat. So if you want me to read something on the air, I'm trying to keep an eye on you, but just do @Sweetcast in that way. I don't miss you. Yeah. Okay. So here's the first one. This is not a painting, but I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going on here. This is what, like an unfortunate, I don't even know what this place is, like a motel or something, and it's in the middle here. Um, yeah, I don't know. I can't figure it out. Another thing is like if art, like a lot of times you'll say like it's supposed to say something or mean something, but if that meaning is lost, then does it really mean anything? I don't know. Does it make sense? I'm getting a WTF. I would jump in, but too many beers. All right. This one's terrible.
Okay.
I just want to skip that one. That one does kind of offend me. All right, I'm okay. I'm trying to figure out what exactly is the art. Is it the thing on the floor here? Performance. Oh, the people sitting are the art. Slick Rick says sometimes guerrilla art is the only way to make a statement. I'd guess the original, a woman is free and has nothing to prove, but how privileged she is. She has nothing to say in that style. Maybe there is nothing to say. I don't know. Angram says maybe if you consider comfort, any positive emotion the art brings out in you, and disturbance, any negative emotion, then maybe the art does one or the other or both. It's true. I think art can do, again, like it can do probably anything if it makes you feel something. I'm not sure though. I look at this. What am I supposed to feel?
Yeah, that's where it gets weird to me when people are like, "Well, as long as it makes you feel something." I was like, I'm literally alive, so I will
Yeah.
have some feeling towards it. And if your litmus test for art is just to make a person who's breathing feel something,
Yeah,
it's a pretty low bar for
that's true.
constitutes art.
I feel bewildered, I guess, at this. Not even that. That's too strong. I'm just like, huh?
But then
Like,
the artist always has a "That's exactly what I'm trying to make you feel,"
yeah,
or something, and it's like they always have an escape hatch to whatever you come up with
yeah,
to rationalize whatever amount of time. Like, say this person spent like 6 months on whatever we're looking at right here, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, if you wanna justify 6 months on that, I guess,
right.
but I think you might not be using your time very efficiently.
Yeah. And the thing that surprises me so much though is look at the crowd of people. And this is, I'm like, sometimes the emperor is just naked, you know? The emperor has no clothes. But you know, they convinced all these people that it's good. So I don't know. That's weird. Let's see what we got coming up here next. Okay, so I'm guessing this guy has nothing. This is just a statue. Oh, this is the standing. This is a worst. Yeah, the worst. I'm surprised I said it was the worst. So you saw this, right? This was a big deal. They had the bowl down in New York, and then they have the girl that was standing in front of it. Now this guy's messing with it and stuff. But do you remember there was kind of a controversy around this? It had something to do with feminism.
Well, the weird thing about that piece to me is I heard that it was supposed to embody female strength or something along those lines. And I was like, it's actually kind of stupidity to stand in front of a charging bull if you're a
Yeah.
little girl. So I don't know. Like, there's a fine line between courage and just being an idiot. And I don't know what the artist was thinking on that one, but I just know that if I were a little kid, I wouldn't be standing in front of a charging bull. Um, so I don't
Yeah.
know. It's one of those things where sometimes their messages and their zeal to get forth some sort of activism, you're just like, I think you're actually inadvertently sending the wrong message.
Yeah. I read a nice article up too about like the initial the bowl here that initially was something about prosperity, and like they had all these I don't remember everything. They had a lot of really interesting things that it stood for. And so for having the little girl standing in front of it, being brave and defiant, it really undermined the meaning of the original piece of art. And so, yeah, it's like I guess it for some people it meant I don't know capitalism or something, and they I don't know. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, when art becomes its sole purpose is activism, and that's what we see in comics quite a bit. It does get irritating. The Ryan Cardinal says, "Hey everyone in the chat and Sweetcast and friends, hello." The Ryan Cardinal, great to see you. Yeah, this piece, yeah, I think it's supposed to be taken down. I don't know if it's been taken down already, but I know like it was supposed to have some kind of expiration date. What is this? This kind of looks interactive. I can read about it. Charging Fearless Girl. Oh, that's the one above. Let's read about this. In a year when George Orwell's 1984 felt less fictional than ever, this installation musing on the ubiquity of surveillance felt more akin to a Dance Dance Revolution style selfie generator. Huh. So it's some kind of that's weird. It does seem like a game. I don't know. I just don't care. I guess I don't know. If you have thoughts, let me know. Never Cold says I gotta go back to work. Thanks, Sweetcast. Later chat. See you later, Never Cold. Yep, that one's weird. Oh, here. And speaking of weird, the thing is, there's two of these. So it's so surprising to me. Okay. I'm so confused. Oh, Tug's in the chat too. Hey, Tug. I don't know, chat. Is this art? Is this art or not art? I'm really confused. There's like 4 arms. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this. Sweetcast, take a look at Damien Hirst and Tracy Emin. That's the nonsense people pass out as conceptual art in Britain means nothing, but people pay millions for it. The buyers are idiots. I'm going to look that up. Damien Hirst. Oop. Chat's moving, make my life hard. Okay, here. Damien Hirst. All right, I'll just type it in. Yeah,
and again, that goes to my thing. If you're an artist and you're spending months of your life just trying to come up with something that will make people recoil or
yeah.
that, I'm just like, it says more about you than anything else. I'm just like, I don't know. I just kind of almost feel bad for someone where they're spending large amounts of their time and money and resources trying to figure out ways to disturb people. And I don't know. So I guess maybe you could call that art. That's fine, but it's just kind of almost depressing to me that people would dedicate their lives to disturbing others.
So I got to say this sheep one, I've actually seen not this exact one, but it was a white, like a white lamb. I saw it in DC actually in a museum there. And it was creepy because it looked like it was filled with water and there was like a preserved sheep inside of the box. Didn't make any sense to me, but it was kind of gross. I don't know. There's a weird one. Yeah, I gotta wonder. These are just, I don't know. These look, yeah, these are weird. That's all there is on this website. This website almost feels like modern art. There's like, Oh, artworks. Let's see what they got. Sausage links. This looks like a trampoline with fish stuck in blocks. I don't get it. It seems like the more they turn into like three-dimensional, like where they're assembled as opposed to art. This is the one I saw. I'm pretty sure this is the exact one I saw in DC. Oh, maybe it was this one. Apparently he's got a lot of lambs just thrown in blocks of ice. Oh wow, there's tons of them. This is weird. I don't know, pigs too, all sorts of livestock, cows. This is getting grotesque now. Wow. Well, thanks for that one. All right, let's look back at the chat here. Snowtep says Sweetcast art to me is contextual. If she was in a regime controlled by controlled country and her art had a message that rebelled against an oppressive government, then it would be art to me. Yeah, I guess I'm not sure. Again, if the message is totally lost, or like, I don't know. I'm just not sure what the message would be. Heroinberg says after several decades of repetitive iterations, postmodernism is circling the drain. Western art is over. The only nostalgia remains. I do think that there is some good art that is happening. I want to say that there's almost seems like there's more. Or I don't know if it's just me, but especially with digital, like I've seen a lot of really great digital art painting that looks, just objectively beautiful. I don't know. What do you think, Doug? Do you think it's on its deathbed, or do you think it's coming back?
Definitely, the pendulum tends to swing both ways when everything is any generation, they're going to want to go toward the grass is always greener on the other side sort of thing. And
Yeah.
so I could see on some level there being people that want to almost return to the classics in many ways, when but at the same time there's almost an allure to this kind of quote unquote art, because it plays to everyone's worst instincts, to your ego, to your pride. And if you could just do anything you want and then pass yourself off as a genius, and anyone who criticizes it, you go, well, you don't get it. This is clearly beyond you. And
Yeah.
so I think it's almost hard to break free of that, because the vast majority of people who want to be artists, they want to be able to just, like I said, justify what they're doing with their time, even if it's bad, and they want to be free from any sort of criticism. And so I think that there will always be a subset of the population that really is like, this is, you know what, this is ridiculous. Let's look back at the old masters, and you could clearly see this is something that, like I said before, has lasted literally hundreds of years. And people, you can see them when they go into art museums, young people, and they know it. Just like true beauty almost kind of forces you to acknowledge its existence. And to me, the stuff where it's like, oh well, we're putting urine, things that are whether it's a cross or whether it's something beautiful, and we're just putting it in a jar of urine or whatever. Like, wow, like, oh, you're so edgy. Like,
Yeah.
it's not. And
Yeah.
like I said, I'm sure people will be like, Doug, you're so elitist. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't really see much value in this. I do like you said, with the digital stuff, when people are playing around with light and depth and those sorts of things, like, I think that's pretty cool. But I'm definitely not a fan of, oh, you get these artists, like I said, with the urine or like defecation or bodily fluids. They try and do things to shock people.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just sort of lame and kind of this a telltale sign of an immature mind almost.
Yeah. Yeah, and this one, the irony here is the please do not touch, because this looks exactly like at the mall when you go and they've got the little play area for kids to, roll around on top of. That's what this looks like. So if you can't touch it, that is a little disappointing. And I think, for art, I don't think you're being too elitist. I really don't. There's a difference between I mean, at least there's color, I guess. I don't know. I'll give them that. Some of like the dead bodies, it just doesn't really make sense to me. Um, but there's definitely style, and that's another question that comes up. Um, some people, I mean, you have different preferences within sort of a range of actual art. I can't imagine anybody that genuinely goes and just stares at this and is just loving it. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So the
If
Ryan Cardinal. Oh wait, let me make sure I got. Um, yeah, I think here we are. The Ryan Cardinal. The true art of fine art is the ability to BS enough about it just to justify the art's existence. It just gives people something to talk about while they drink wine and eat cheese at art shows. Okay. Sierra Whiskey says, Howdy, Sweetcast and the Sweetcasters. Oh, I never did give you guys a name ever. The Sweetcasters. I don't know. We'll see how that makes uh, your boy Zach feel. Did you see Doug him roast he made a video about me?
I did see where he was getting into the jailhouse sort of nickname
Yeah.
or something along those lines. He was I don't want to say weirdly fascinated, but he kept coming back to that over and over again. I was like, wow, that name really must have struck a nerve somehow, some way, whatever you're watching. But
Yeah, I could tell he'd just watched a documentary or something. I was like, oh, would not have made that connection, but it is kind of funny.
he like circled back to it like 4 times during the course of the video. I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, well.
Yeah. So funny. John Chidester says the idea from postmodern, there is an infinite amount of art. It true, but there is a limited amount of good art. This doesn't fit the latter or later. Okay. Herrenberg, digital art is a medium, not a style. It can certainly create beauty like any other medium. Look at movies like Valerian. Yeah, absolutely. In that medium, you can do all sorts of different styles. Totally agree with that. And that's what's cool about digital art is there is a lot of freedom to do a lot of things. Slick Rick says comic artists are the most skilled and imaginative artists out there. They can create points, stories, statements, worlds from their imaginations much of the time, and yet they get ridiculed. Yeah, so that's another thing with elitism, and that's a point I wanted to bring up is that comic books historically, like comic book art has been sort of poo-pooed as far as art goes. And I want to think that things have changed a bit. It seems like it has. Like it has more respect as an art form. And if not, I feel like it really should. I mean, there's a big difference. There's a lot of art to even just the storytelling. Regardless of the style or how the art looks, the ability to use those pictures to tell a story and convey action and all that kind of stuff. I do think that's like a big part of the art when it comes to comics. Brennan Pitts says modern art is the perfect example of what happens when you're leaving anything entirely under the control of postmodern deconstructionists. There you go.
Yeah, there was a video I watched on modern art a while ago. I think I'm remembering this correctly. And basically, they were showing, say, like it was a canvas and it was just painted red. And then there was an explanation for what the art meant, but the explanation for what was the artist meant to convey, they spent more time and energy explaining the piece than actually making the piece, it seemed like. And so
Yeah.
that's where you get into this thing where it's like, if you had to strain your mind to figure out how to explain this to everyone, then maybe something's not quite right here. Or especially if it's just literally like a white canvas and a little like black dot on it or a little swish of red. And I don't know. It's just, it gets, like I said, it's not my bag. I've gone to multiple art galleries, including famous ones. And when it comes to the modern stuff, I'm not a fan.
Yeah. Gaza the Great says, not sure this topic will grow the channel. I'm sorry. But this is weird. I just scrolled down. I'm not even sure I want to know. Looks like a dude with mustard all over his face. Um, and I feel like for me personally, like I'm actually pretty accepting, I guess, of a lot of different art styles when it comes to comic art. Um, and I don't know, like some people are very strict with what they consider comic book art specifically. And I guess I like a lot of different styles, but for sure, if the anatomy is obviously wrong, or like they're just things that don't actually make sense and the perspective is wrong and things like that. I guess it's not that it's not art, it's just that they would need more practice. It's not a masterpiece. And that's when I look at this, like there's no way this is a masterpiece. That's weird. Jack Straw says finally got around to it, but backed Downcast a few minutes ago. Hell sweet cast. Thank you very much, Jack Straw. I really appreciate that. Again, just a reminder, everybody. I opened up, I don't know if they're still there or not, but I opened up the $100 tier just for 2 more so you can get drawn into the book. And I promise you won't have mustard on your face. So it'll look better. Yeah, so another topic here then, Jack Kirby. Do you like Jack Kirby's artwork?
Are you just asking the chat or myself or?
Both. Yeah. What do you think of Jack Kirby's artwork?
Well, again, so I'm definitely not a professional art critic, but when I look at old Jack Kirby art, there's always this sense of wonder and awe is the best way I could explain it. And
Yeah.
it's clearly like a mind that is conveying what you see in his art is definitely missing in today's. I've said before that it seems like modern comics are just like the Seinfeldization of the superhero genre, where it's just people talking about nothing. They're not even doing Seinfeld writing well. It's like bad Seinfeld. And it just, there's no sense of awe. There's no sense of wonder. There's mystery. And that is something that, and again, I can't articulate it right, but the shadows and the proportions and all this sort of stuff with Jack Kirby's work, it's just head and shoulders above anything that you see coming
Yeah.
out of comic books today for the most part.
And I would be interested to see if like this is the Kirby crackle, they call all the little black dots. I know I'm probably describing that incorrectly, but I know a lot of people call it Kirby crackle. And I do wonder sometimes if Jack Kirby lived today, how would his art differ because of just the abilities with coloring and things like that. And I guess he didn't color his own work. I don't think anyway. But that there's definitely restrictions there or a certain set of standards. People always, I don't know, didn't like how he drew hands, I guess, or sometimes faces. I'm trying to see like a really pointy nose. I really like Jack Kirby in that to me, when I look at Jack Kirby stuff, it's like that is quintessential comics, I guess, for me.
Right.
Yeah. So, and even like Iron Man, I don't know if there were other art. People are going to correct me. I'm not like the best historian, but like the fact that you can see his eyes behind the mask, I don't know. Just it seems very like it's actually armor. And then other things seemed super bulky, I guess. Like definitely the hands, like how big his hands are. But yeah, I like
Well,
Jack.
he's one to me where it feels like this is someone who is a master of the craft and he knows the rules. And like I was saying, like once you know all the rules, then you could learn how to bend them. Then you could figure out which rules to break, and then you know exactly why you are breaking the rules. And it's like,
Mhm.
well, why are your hands so large here? And then he gets, well, there's a sense, there's a feeling that I'm trying to get across. And the only way you could get this across is by having these giant hands, foreboding hands going around the neck of the hero or something along those lines. I don't know.
Mhm.
And whereas today it's just, and this is something Diversity in Comics has covered, they have the 3D images that you could just look at online of like an airport, and it's
Mhm.
everything is from a flat perspective. And it's almost like the current artists, or many of them, they're just not classically trained, and you could tell.
Mhm. Yeah, if they're going for the easiest, because I've thought about this before, for if I wanted to draw my own comic book today with my current level of art skill, you could probably find a way to just piece together pictures from anything you want, as long as you're going with a straight ahead angle, and just trace everything. It'd be something that's totally doable. But you would definitely be missing some kind of coherent style, and some, I don't know, yeah, any angle. You'd be really restricted by what you can do. And I agree, that is how it feels like sometimes. It's not very, it's just not very dynamic. And that's one thing that Jack Kirby really did well, was having super dynamic pages. And so I looked up his self portrait. I'm just curious. I'd love to see something that he's like real life that he's painted. I would bet money that he could do. He probably has done some very good like portraits, or that look really realistic. He understands the rules, but a lot of his art, they were decisions, I guess. A lot of his art style is a conscious decision, and I think that's how it is for most people when they're intentionally doing a style, I guess, rather than cheating. We'll look at the chat here really quick. Herrenberg says pop artists of the 1960s were comic book influence, including Lichtenstein and Warhol. Pop art was really the last modernist art movement before postmodernism took over. I'm just curious, though. It is interesting to me that Andy Warhol was so popular with from a fine art standpoint, but someone like Jack Kirby wasn't popular from a fine art standpoint, even though it's borrowed there, I guess. I don't know. It's just interesting to me. Anagram says the problem with modern art is that it doesn't speak for itself. They pride themselves in the deep meaning of the pieces, but they always need to be explained by themselves. They say nothing. Yeah, that's the thing, is I wouldn't need to have an explanation. That is super strange, for sure. Curious, Doug, for modern comic art, is there any artists, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but are there artists that you think are doing it right, that are working in comics right now?
That's actually the last artist that I really enjoyed is, I mean, how do I say it? There's always going to be decent artists, but it feels as though, and I think this is a video that Diversity did a long, long time ago, where after the artists kind of left Marvel and started Image, Marvel never wanted that to ever happen again. So
Yeah.
they like consciously kind of went away from ever allowing artists to become big superstars, Jim Lee's, like Uncle Todd, stuff. But those are the guys that, and I've said this countless time, that Spider-Man #1 with Spidey in the web is like one of my favorites of all time. And I watched people in Florida when I was down there. I was in Disney World, and they had the comics on like a stand, and people that were 75 years old, people that were 7 years old, people that were 17, their jaws were just hanging open looking at that. And so like almost that sort of era is kind of the last where I was just really enthralled by the artists at the time. And so I guess I'm aging myself and showing my bias, but that whole era with Jim Lee and all those guys, those were really my favorite. And I don't know. These days there's stuff that's like, okay, it's fine. It's like, okay, but it's nothing that like draws you in, where somebody who's not even into comics would just pick it up off the shelf and be like, I have to open this up. Whereas Todd's work and Jim Lee's work, those are comics that someone who's just in a grocery store, if they saw it and they're not into comics, they're like, holy cow, this is awesome.
Yeah. Eric Weathers, by the way. Hi, Eric. He's in the chat. He says Daniel Warren Johnson. I don't know that I've seen any of his work. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, I also wonder too, if there's less incentive, like as the comic market sort of falls, as things are getting worse and worse, and there are fewer jobs, there's less potential like maximum profit in comics. If a lot of really great artists that might work in comics are working elsewhere, because I know there are a ton of artists that are working for like doing concept art, they're doing art for films, the storyboarding, that those kinds of things, just because they can make money there. There's more incentive to be there and be doing good work. So I do kind of wonder if, you know, and even DC Comics has addressed this a little bit, that they feel like there's a talent drought. I think there's good talent out there, but maybe it's wanting for more. Snowtep says Sweetcast and his candy crowd saying that outload feels weird. Okay. Are you the candy crowd? Is that what this is? The Ryan Cardinal says, is Sweetcast Willy Wonka and we're the Oompa Loompas? Do you guys want to be called Oompa Loompas? I don't know.
Did you
I
see?
can
Oh, sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking. Did you read Charles Soule's run on Daredevil at all?
No, I didn't.
Ron Garney, he was the artist on that, and I really liked his work a lot. But he's another one who I think he's actually older. I think he actually had stuff going back. I don't know. I'd have to look at how old he is, but that's someone who's doing like work in modern, in today, but at the same time, he's not like a new guy. He's not one of these. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like my age. I wouldn't, close to 40 or older than 40. So I don't know. Let's see. I was going to look it up and see how old he is if I could find something on his age, but I loved his work.
Anne Graham says the talent drought doesn't make sense to me. That's a good point, because there's a lot of I've said this before, of modern artists. I really like, I don't want to say modern artists, current artists working in comics. I love Phil Noto's work. I will say I think that he could be better with storytelling when it comes to art, but I think the art itself is gorgeous. It's definitely not a very traditional comic style, though. I really like Phil Noto's work, though. He's impressive. I really like it a lot. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the talent drought doesn't make a lot of sense. I agree with that, because there's so many resources today. You can learn anything online. You can network with people. You could presumably, it'd be easier than ever to get your work shown in front of comics publishers in order for you to get your work out there. And so it would make sense that it would be the opposite of an art drought. There'd be more artists that are there. So I don't know. It's probably a loaded issue. There are probably a lot of reasons why. I don't know. There's just not a lot of artists, I guess, that are exciting DC apparently, and they're not exciting a lot of people apparently. Aaron Olson says there's not a talent drought. There's a gatekeeping problem. Yeah, that's a problem too, because if you're not looking at just the art for people to get in, if there's a other list of standards that you have to meet to be able to work in comics that have nothing, or they only have to do with immutable characteristics or political opinions or things like that, obviously that's a whole other problem. Yeah, good discussion. Who's the artist that you just mentioned? You were trying to see how old he was.
Oh, Ron Garney.
Ron Garney. Did you find anything? I'm gonna look him up if you haven't.
Ron Garney. Sorry, I'm looking him up right now. See, there's probably a little wiki on him.
Ron Garney. Wikipedia.
He looks like an older guy. How old is he? I should say here. It doesn't say his age. Oh,
late 2000s. He was working. Here, I'll share the screen so everyone can check it out with us. So Daredevil, yeah. I mean, he doesn't look that old. October 9, this was 2010, was taken.
Yeah.
Seems like he could be a Gen Xer, maybe.
Possibly. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Pencil work. He's actually done quite a bit of stuff. And he's written too. Huh. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of information here about him. Not in Wikipedia. I'm going to look at some images here and see if we can get some art. Does this look familiar here? Daredevil.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I like that a lot. Yeah, it's impressive. Oops, I didn't want to go to his Facebook. There we go. There's some more. It's a really cool cover. Yeah, this is really nice. And again, this is exciting. Even it's a few people. I guess there's 4 people standing there. They're just standing there, but it's the angle, it's the pose, the composition. It makes it really dynamic. Like the telephone post, even like everything's not going straight up and down. It's at an angle. That's always nice to see. It just makes it a lot more exciting and interesting. That's a really cool one too. Ron Garney. Yeah, let's look at Phil Noto. I talk about him all the time, so people are gonna have to bear with me. Yeah, I collected every single book he did for Black Widow because the covers were outstanding. This is probably my favorite Black Widow cover. So good. But it's really different though. He works digitally. It's not like an ink kind of thing. He does the colors too. Very different. However, I would absolutely do a book with him if I ever had the chance. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. So I want to remind everybody, let me stop sharing here for a minute. Let's check in on the campaign and see how it's going. Actually, maybe I will share my screen then, and we'll that'll make a little bit more sense to check in on the campaign when I'm sharing the screen. Really appreciate everybody that has backed so far. Here we go. This is it. We had that setback. Somebody refunded a really large donation, and that kind of threw us off a little. So we have 450 backers. That's great. 16,568. And we do have, because people have been asking about these, they get drawn into the book. There's 2 of those now. I added 2. So if you're interested in getting drawn into the book, that is available. And it comes with the print bundle as well. So yeah, this has been great. Thanks to everybody that's backed. And if you haven't yet, it's a great time to do it. I'm hoping
I saw your video with luck.
With luck. Oh yeah, that I did. I think it was yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yeah, I was wondering who was kind of talking smack about your campaign or whatever, and wanted to see that. I was like, how can anyone be negative about this campaign? It's
yeah, and it wasn't. I've heard like a friend told me that they saw some people on Twitter, they're kind of the usual suspects, saying some stuff about me in the campaign. But I didn't even look to find it. I actually think I'm blocked from some of them. So I just, we'll just let it be. But yeah, this has been a really good campaign. It just seems like, I don't know, you have some success and that makes people upset. It also makes a lot of people happy, which I've been grateful for. And those are some of the people I highlighted that said really nice things about me in the campaign, which was great.
I won't out anybody on this, but there was somebody who, when I tweeted about your campaign and how, basically in one day you completed it and how that was awesome and how you were doing everything right, immediately unfollowed me. And this was somebody that, I don't want to give away too many details, but it was like, I was trying to explain to someone who either wanted or had a campaign that was failing, or we'll just put it that way, like, you're doing stuff wrong, man. And if you don't make these corrections, you're not going to succeed. And then it's like your campaign succeeding is kind of like a mirror, or like whatever, that kind of reflects back the flaws in other people's campaigns if they're not doing the right things that they need to do. And some people just do not want to acknowledge that they're either making mistakes or they're refusing to see where they need to make adjustments in order to raise $16,568 on a campaign.
Yeah.
And so they get mad and say it's either luck, or they say like, oh, so-and-so didn't support my book and, whatever. And, forget these guys.
Yeah. And that's definitely, I don't know. It's something I thought about a lot. If you're in this comic creator network, there's a lot of books that you could back. They're all the time. Every week you could be backing probably 2, 3, 4, 5 books every single week. But if you're not backing books that you want to read or that look good to you or they excite you or whatever, then I don't know what good it does, because that is feedback for sure that you're getting based on if people are backing it, if they like it. Even I'll say even my campaign, I got a lot of feedback on day one of launching just from my subscribers. People were telling me certain things they wanted, like the digital copy. I was reluctant to do that, but a lot of people asked for it, so I added it. And so, yeah, I mean, being responsive to what people want can be hard for sure, but yeah, it's been interesting. I've been getting a lot of really positive attention, which has been really nice. It's been cool to see. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are talking about this campaign, but at the same time, it's like the other shoe. Sometimes it drops, but I'm sure it will drop heavier as soon as this campaign is over.
It's like the uncomfortable truth for a lot of people is that in many ways, you almost you kind of have to have a YouTube channel, but you have to be good at it as well. And so I think it's probably discouraging for some people because not
Yeah.
everybody could put out regular YouTube content in a way that resonates and builds communities. But it's YouTube itself is so powerful in terms of making connections with potential customers. And so if you don't have that natural either charisma or you don't have the content that's going to whatever you're doing that draws more people in,
Yeah.
then it's not to say it's impossible, but it's much harder. YouTube is just, to me, it's just so powerful in terms of reaching potential customers.
And that's the thing is, and I realize I want to find other plans, other strategies, because there's no way that every single person can have a successful YouTube channel. And it's
Right.
like saying, can every single person that wants to be a basketball player or whatever? I mean, this is much less difficult, I think, than playing like professional basketball. But I don't know. I think that there are probably other avenues of getting your stuff out there, getting people
Right.
to know you and hear about your project, but you got to find them. I want to do some experimenting with Instagram, because I know that some people have had a lot of success with Instagram. But right now, I mean, YouTube it makes a big difference. I considered doing some Facebook advertising, like maybe I'll pay a little bit of money and do that. And the more I think about it, I'm like, no, I'll just do live stream. Makes a
Right.
little bit more sense, I guess. I don't know. It might be worth trying.
Whoever the person just needs to be honest about what their skill set is and how they can best leverage that skill set given the different social media platforms that exist. Instagram, to me, if you're an artist, that seems like almost a no-brainer with using that. To me, it might be harder, although I know Instagram was going to allow live streams, and I think you actually can now, but initially you could only do up to 10 minutes or something along those lines. And
Yeah.
I think for writers like ourselves, YouTube is great because you could talk, you could see how you articulate yourself, and just people could get inside your head more. Whereas some of these other, Twitter is something that lends itself to artists as well. And so, yeah, you really just need to figure out, okay, which platforms work best for what I want to do.
Yeah. Snowtep says, Sweetcast, what do you guys think about surrealist photography / painterly comics? Do you think some of them cross the uncanny valley? Example, Batman Arkham Asylum. I wouldn't say it's my favorite style of art. I think it's fine. I mean, I have Batman Arkham Asylum. I've got a copy of it. It's I don't know. It's not something that really draws to me. I don't know. What do you think, Doug?
A lot of it just depends on the story and the art and if they go well together. And then it always gets down to, okay, well, like you said, what is the kind of art I want to consume on a regular basis? So there's certain styles that I could see myself buying like once a year, like if it was like an anthology, or if it was just this random graphic novel that came out and it was just everything was tailored to that. It had to be that particular style of art form, or something along those lines. But then I don't know. There's just certain styles that I gravitate to, and if I'm going to be buying comics on a weekly or monthly basis, other styles are just not going to work for me.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're the one paying for it, I know I think most people are like this. I'm for sure, but I'm picky about which comics I buy because it costs money.
Right.
You want to do stuff that looks good. Gonzo the Great says, "How are there any, let alone two thumbs down for Sweetcast?" I'm telling you, man, we've been drawing a lot of attention. It's been great, but you get all kinds of attention. Scott says, "I wonder if we will see a high-end Comicsgate computer art comic in the near future." I'll tell you, if I had any way to convince Chaz Walgamont, who's the guy that did that beautiful print for my campaign, to do a whole book with me, there would be. He's amazing. Gonzo the Great says, "What are the pics slash art behind you?" Those are the Ninja Turtles. Can you see them? They're all four of them, and they like go together. You can see like the toe. Let me see if I can line up there. His toe crosses there, and the nunchuck crosses there. It's kind of cool. I got it at Salt Lake Comic Con. Yeah, pretty cool. Man, 75 people watching right now. That's awesome. Usually I think Monday nights aren't great, but this has been working out really well. So
your campaign's rolling, so you definitely have more people that are tuning in.
yeah, it's been good. And I do want to say thank you. I'll say I was really pleasantly surprised. I said this before, but I really tried to not fail. That was my mentality. I'm like, how could I screw this launch up? And so I kept thinking, if there's any way that I can just make sure, like, avoid any of these pitfalls. And then I knew that I had several people that said that they were going to back it, no doubt. But what was amazing to me is there were so many, like, just the silent majority of people, it seemed like, that watched the videos. And apparently, they were into what I'm doing. They like Downcast, and they were ready to back it on day one or day two. And so that was really awesome. So I really appreciate everybody that has supported that, because obviously, like, none of this happens without you. You guys are the ones that decide what campaigns are successful.
One of the things about your channel is you're sort of a model of consistency, and it's not like you're this over the top flashy guy or anything. It's just day in and day out, there's just solid content coming out from you. And for people that are like, okay, I want a book where I just know it's going to be solid, everything this guy has done up to this point has telegraphed he's level-headed, he's reasonable, he thinks things through, he's logical, and now I can see the artwork that's coupled with that. The artwork is solid. Why would I not take a chance on this if I'm going to be backing books? Like, there would be no reason to believe that you would just randomly do a 180 and become irresponsible and not get your book out or
Right.
whatever. So it's like, yeah, I'm backing this. This makes sense.
Yeah. And that really, definitely, I think that's the sort of the expectation, or it's like my burden of proof that I have to show, like, hey, I get things done, because this is my first published, I mean, I've published books, I've published other things, but my first published comic book, it does feel like I've got to prove that I stick with it. I'm consistent, making videos every day. I work my butt off. I've got to say, like, there are a lot of YouTube channels out there that do, they'll post things sporadically, and that's cool too. But I've made it a point to be very, like, every single day post a video, which is not easy to do. But yeah, so I do appreciate that. And that's kind of the point, is I want to demonstrate, like, we can do this. Trust me. Eric Breen says, downvoting Sweetcast is like downvoting baseball, apple pie, Chevrolet, and another thing I can't remember. Thank you, Eric Breen. I always appreciate your comments. Snowtep says, I love Phil Noto art too. His characters make you sympathize with them just by looking at their face emote. Even without words, I bought his X-23 run just because he drew it. Same with Black Widow. Yeah, I don't know how. For me, whenever I look at art, depending on, even if it can be more cartoony or more realistic, But if it looks like a real person, or like it looks like it actually is a thinking human being, then I don't know, that sticks with me. And I think Phil Noto definitely does that. There are a lot of artists that do, for sure. So great. Well, I don't want to make the stream go on too long. We've been increasing with numbers though, so that's been great. But everybody, I'm just going to remind you that I have Downcast. I know I've been talking about a lot. I'm going to post the link. And if you haven't backed it yet, it's a great time to back it. I'm trying to build some momentum after we lost a really big backer, and that'll help us just get back up onto that trending page. That'll help out a lot. So really appreciate that. Gonzo the Great says, Sweetcast, I'm sure you've said it before, but what is your guesstimate timetable for Downcast? So I tried to be very conservative with what I put on Indiegogo, and the date that I put there was January, so it'd be 2020. I will say that's extremely conservative, and the fact that we are already overfunded means that we can start sooner. So I would rather under promise and overperform. So that's the plan there. But yeah, January is what I put up there. So yeah, any other questions, let me know at Sweetcast. And yeah, we'll get to you. So I don't know, any parting words, Doug?
No, just thankful that you sent me a link and let me come on to talk with you about art. And I backed your campaign, and I'm looking forward to seeing Downcast. And I just tip my hat to you for running a really rock solid campaign, man. It's very impressive.
Thanks, I appreciate that. All right, thank you, everybody, and we'll let you go and have your evening back. So thanks very much, and we'll talk to you next time.